Happy Sunday. We're back, same clothes. You know we're doing it multiple videos at a time. So, last time I rapidly finished at the point that I was finishing at Pottawego Spring Lean-To. Again, that was at mile 48.3 for me heading south. Total mileage on the trail, 48.3. Again, the reason I'm hurrying to get out of Maine and the reason I'm trying to make so many miles so quickly into my hike is because the Kennebec River is unwalkable. You have to ford all the bodies of water on the trail. This specific one cannot be walked across. And I mean, you can, but it's extremely dangerous. Very fast, very deep. It's very prone to flooding because there is a dam at the top and they can just randomly let that dam go. So you just never know when the body of water is going to rise. So you have to get ferried across by canoe. And it is run by one man. His name is Rob of the North, which we will get to at some point. Not right now, but the reason I'm hiking that quickly is because I need to get there by October 12th, which is the deadline for the current schedule that they have of ferrying people across from like specific times a day. So I knew when the ferry was going to be running, I knew when it was going to shut down, and you had to pay a $50 fee, and you had to call in advance to get a time slot to be ferried across, which I didn't feel like dealing with. So October 12th was my deadline to get there. I spent the night at Pottawego Spring Lean-To, and again, I am probably very much mispronouncing those names. But I stayed at the Pottawego Spring Lean-To the night of October 3rd, 2017, and I figured that night I'm probably going to be able to get to the Kennebec River on October 8th. Actually, I believe it, yeah, I'll get there the 8th, which I'm going to be spending the night at a hotel, kind of cabin lodge area, getting my resupply package, and then the very next morning getting the ferry across. So that lodge I'm going to be staying at is called Northern Outfitters. It's in Kennebec, Maine. It is a bit off of the trail. You pretty much need to get, you have to hitch your way there, or you can call and you can get them to come pick you up, which we'll get to. But I did have a resupply package there. So I was going through my trail guide again. Every single night I was going through my trail guide trying to figure out, okay, how many miles we're going to hike today, tomorrow, the next day, and what day am I going to get to the Kennebec River. So I'm making sure that I'm going to get there with enough time to get across the river by the ferry. So I figured I'll get there the 8th and I'll cross it the morning of the 9th. So I still had 3 days of wiggle room to get there before it closed. On the Pottawego morning that I wake up, I remember I had a complete change of mindset. I wasn't quite so sad and lonely. I woke up like rejuvenated. I had a great day. Great day hiking. I got cell service for the first time because in that 100-mile wilderness, specifically just like in the trail in general, it's very hard to get cell service. Verizon gets the best cell service on the trail. And you really only get cell service at the tops of mountain peaks. So at Boardman Mountain, that is the mountain's name, Boardman Mountain, in Maine, I got cell service. So I was able to call my mom, call my boyfriend, and I just felt so much better after talking with them, even though it was like 2 days in. This is October 4th of 2017. But it just felt so much better about knowing I was doing the right thing at this point. Even though I couldn't talk to my family every day, I was lucky if I could get a text out. I just felt much better about my experience at this point. That night on October 4th, we stayed at East Branch Lean-To at mile 67.8. That day we had hiked 19.5 miles. And again, like, it's going to seem monotonous because that's a lot of what the trail was, especially when you have a deadline. I enjoyed my hike. I would not change a single thing about it, but I did have to kind of rush through and push the miles at the end of the days because we did have a deadline of finishing. We did have a deadline, especially in the beginning of the hike. And kind of after the Kennebec River, we had a very vague timeline to get to Mount Washington and the presidentials because of weather, which I'll touch on later on. But again, the night of the 4th, we stayed at East Branch Lean-To. The next day, more exciting things happened. Woke up, it's the morning of the 5th, October 5th, 2017. In my trail journal, I called this the day from hell, just word for word specifically from my journal. We woke up, it was kind of a foggy morning, and we started hiking. I was tired. I think all the miles were starting to like fatigue everything, get sore, and we're walking. Riley's ahead of me. We're walking on, so if the mountain's like this, we were walking around the mountain kind of, in some greenery, because at this point all the greenery is still there. It hasn't all fallen away. And it's probably like 7 in the morning. So the sun has just started to come up. It's still kind of hazy out. But all of a sudden there's a big crash in front of us. I see a huge black object run up the mountain in front of us on the trail, and I just freeze. I just freak out. I'm like, what was that? I'm like, oh my God, that was a bear. That was 100% a bear. And so Riley like doesn't know what's going on. She's just like, la da da da, just keeps walking. And I make her stop, make her get behind me. She's extremely good on the trail. She listens very well. She knows when she's supposed to be behind me, when she's supposed to be close. So I made her walk behind me. We slowly approached the area where I had saw the bear, and there is a small stream going down the mountain. So the bear was on the trail drinking from the stream, apparently. And we had just spooked it up the mountain. So the rest of the day, Riley walked very, 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 very close behind me the rest of the day, just for safety purposes. But this was as we were summiting Whitecap Mountain. At the top of Whitecap Mountain, we were actually fortunate enough to have someone else that was summiting as well, just like a day hiker. So he took our picture for us, which I will put at the end of this. It was our first summit picture on the trail together, so it was a special memory, and it does have the bear associated with it as well, so it was kind of cool. But at the end of this day, we had hiked a total mileage on the trail, 88.5 miles, and that day we had hit our first 20-mile day. So it was a very long, very tiring day, which it continues, but we had hiked 20.7 miles that day. Now, one thing I will warn you of, if you are either northbound or southbound, because no one really talks about this mountain, and they should. Kennebec Mountain, it is like someone blew up a mountain, and all the shrapnel, all the boulders had fallen down the side of this mountain, and if you're northbound, you have to make your way up that shrapnel to get up to Kennebec Gap Lean-To, which is where we were staying that night. It was the very top. I was like, oh, easy. Like, we'll be there really quick. No, it wasn't really quick. I have an 80-pound dog with me with a harness, and these shrapnel boulders are so big that she cannot make them up it. And again, we had just hiked 20 miles. It's the end of our day. It's day 3 on the trail, and we're exhausted. And it's the last like half mile of the day. And we have to make our way up this shrapnel mountain, and I'm having to hoist my 80-pound dog up with my like probably 50-pound pack on my back up onto boulders to get her up and over them. And because she can't figure out a way around, they're so big. She can't jump safely with the types of rocks, the jagged rocks, and her pack on. So this half mile probably took us like 30 minutes to get up the mountain. And of course there's a northbounder that's like just gliding her way down the mountain, like, oh, hey, how are you having a great day over there? I'm like, no, I'm not having a fucking great day. I'm tired. Going up a mountain. She's like, oh, this is so much fun. And she's just like gliding her way down. I was just so jealous. But that was eventually me later on. But yeah, Kennebec Mountain, once you get there, northbound, southbound, especially southbounders, be aware of that mountain. Stop before it. Don't make that your last climb of the day. This was also the day that we forded our first river. There have been like small streams we had crossed before, but this was our first real fording. There was a cable across the river to help you safely cross it. and then it was very deep and very fast, and there were multiple hikers trying to get across it, and again, I'm the only one going the direction I'm going. So a couple people were mid-crossing as I got there. What you do to ford a river, you take off your socks, you take off your boots, you tie your boots together with the laces, you strap them over your neck, and you just shove your socks in the shoes. Make sure they're in safely. You want to ford the river barefoot unless you have sandals. If you have like walking sandals, put those on. But you use your trekking poles in one hand to help you kind of like feel the rocks in the bottom, because it's about thigh to like hip deep, unless you hit a deep pocket where it's chest deep. You have your pack on. So you got to try to find all the shallow areas while you're still holding onto the cable and the trekking poles with very deep, very fast water. So you're kind of feeling your way across the river. I got across, and there was still a northbounder that was going to cross. So I'm like, hey, can I take some photos of you while you're crossing? So I got up on a rock and took some photos of her, which you will see. But that is also the very first tattoo thing we're going to get to. You can see this moose crossing this river with the leaves of the trees changing. This is actually a picture I took on the trail. The moose was not part of it. That's the story we'll get to later on. But this picture, excluding the moose, let's put a female right here. This is a picture I took, which you will see at the end of this thing I'm talking about today, the episode. So this is the picture I took that is on my arm. Beautiful day on the trail, and the moose will come up later in the stories. So we make it up Chairback Mountain. We stay at Chairback Gap lean-to that night, again, mile 88.5. And yeah, so that was a big day in terms of mileage, but also what we encountered on the miles. But next time we're going to pick up on October 6th, 2017, which have some fun things with it. And we also leave the 100-mile wilderness. So we will get to that on the next one next week. See you guys then.